if God is real and wants to be known, would you be open to that? This is not a debate. This is not an argument. This is not an attempt for me to aggressively force you to become a Christian. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I simply want to have an open conversation, a honest conversation with you who would describe yourself as an open-minded agnostic. And this message is for you if you are open-minded, but you're careful, you're still looking for the evidence, compelling information that will help you to make the decision to become a Christian. You are not necessarily against there being a God or there being a higher power or a supernatural realm. It's just that you do not feel like you have been presented with compelling evidence or enough information for you to make a decision, specifically about the Christian message. I'll be very honest, it takes a lot of humility to admit that you don't know the answer to certain questions. There are so many people who inherit their belief systems. They do not question the things that they have been told, but you are different because you're actually thinking about these questions. You're engaging with them thoughtfully and you're hoping to find the answer. Curiosity in and of itself is not a weakness. It's actually a strength, because curiosity means that we're not shutting the door to new information being presented to us that is able to help us make our minds up or to change our minds concerning certain subjects. One common factor I've noticed amongst many agnostics is that they do not feel a sense of urgency when it comes to the God question, when it comes to the matters of faith and religion, for example. They feel like this is something I can always come to. I can always come back to this in 10 years or in 5 years. And they feel like they've got their whole lives ahead of them to make that decision. But the problem with that is, I think, twofold. First one is that our lives are not guaranteed. We don't know how many years we have left on earth. There are people who think that they're going to live up to 100, up to 70 years, and they were cut short, unfortunately, at the prime of their lives. So no one actually knows how long you've got left. And that leads me to the second issue, which is that there are certain questions that are far too important to ignore or to leave indefinitely. There are certain questions that the answers to them can unlock a new dimension of living for us, and if we refuse to engage them, we would be missing out from all of the possibilities that are behind that door. Questions about meaning. Why are we here? Or what is the purpose of our existence? Is there anything such as real difference between right and wrong? These are questions that once we examine and we discover the answers to them, it can wonderfully enrich the quality of our lives. So why wait? Why keep postponing when the answers are available? I must also say that the decision not to make a decision in and of itself is a decision. There's no such thing really as sitting on the fence, as being undecided. That is still a decision. And when it comes to the Christian message, your decision to be undecided is a rejection of the Christian message. You may not call it that, but that's actually what it is in practice. So it is important that you come to a point where you are ready to make that decision and hoping that you can make that decision. Now let's talk about God. I like to think of it this way. As humans, we live as though certain things were real, like certain things were facts. For example, we believe that there's some sort of meaning for our existence. We believe there is a difference between right and wrong. We have this sense of morality. Where does that come from? What is the origin? Who defines morality? Who defines what is right and what is wrong? There are certain things that are universally right or universally wrong. And if we go to other cultures where these are not considered to be right or wrong, it's to be appalling to the average person. Now, the question is, where does this sense of morality come from? If it is real, what is the origin? What is the source? Take another example, which is consciousness, right? Scientists have not been able to come to a conclusion about what the origin of our consciousness is. We're talking about something that is beyond your flesh and blood, something beyond DNA. There's a certain element of you that is just inexplicable. You have consciousness. What is the source of our consciousness? The question I like to ask is, if these things are real, what type of reality would explain their existence? And I'll leave that unanswered. I want you to ponder on that for a while. Now let's talk about Christianity, because many people reject Christianity simply because they have misunderstood what Christianity is all about. And sometimes it's not their fault, right? People reject the cultural religion of Christianity, or maybe the bad examples, the behavior of certain people who call themselves Christians. I know many people who have rejected the Christian message simply because the people that they were looking up to who claimed to be Christians behaved rather poorly. That in itself brought some disrepute to Christianity as a religion. And some people have said, I'm not going to have anything to do with Christianity simply because of these negative role models of the Christian faith that they have seen. But Christianity is not about any of those things. Christianity is making a claim about reality. Those questions that I've talked about earlier, that's what Christianity gets to the root of. That's what Christianity tries to answer for us. And it provides a very compelling answer to these questions. And Christianity ultimately centers around one person, which is Jesus Christ, the Son of God. That's what Christianity is about. It's about having a relationship. It's not about traditions or rules or rituals or God looking down on you and saying, you've done the right thing, I'm going to reward you. You've done the wrong thing, I'm going to punish you. That's not what Christianity is all about. Christianity is about relationship with Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And Christianity is about the truth. It's not about your performance. It's not about you have to do X, Y, and Z. It's about a relationship with God that was brought to existence through the sacrifice of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Now let's talk about Jesus Christ. You see, Jesus Christ is an actual historical person. Many people may not know this, but Jesus Christ is a real person who lived in 1st century AD. It's not something that we made up. Every serious historian agrees that Jesus Christ was a real person who lived in 1st century Judea. And that's inclusive of atheists who do not even believe in God. They agree that Jesus Christ was a real person. But apart from that, Jesus Christ made very specific and serious claims when he was on earth. He made claims about himself, about God, about humanity. And these claims are so serious and so weighty that they cannot be simply ignored. They have certain far-reaching implications. Jesus Christ was not someone who you can be a fan of and you can say, well, I like him, I like his teachings. Because the things that he talked about are very exclusive and they have very serious implications. Either he's who he said he was or he's not, right? If he is not who he said he was, then we cannot take any of the things that he said seriously. But if he is who he said he was, then the things that he said are very, very consequential. Now, what is the message? What's the core message of Christianity? The core message of Christianity, or what we call the gospel, is that humanity is not neutral. Humanity is not neutral. Something is broken about humanity, and you don't need a lot of convincing to see that. You know, you look around in the world and you see the chaos, the violence, the crises that we face. It is clear that something is seriously wrong with the human condition, and we don't even need to go too far. Let's look at ourselves, right? There are certain standards that we set for ourselves. We have an understanding of what is right and what is wrong, and even each of us fall short consistently of the standards that we recognize. Now, what Christianity is saying is that God is not going to simply ignore that. God is not simply going to ignore the wickedness and the evil and the sinful acts that we perform on the earth. But not just that, God did not leave us in that situation. God entered into our world through the person of Jesus Christ, and he lived with us, he walked with us, he talked with us, he ate with us, he experienced the human condition, and ultimately he went to the cross and he died for our sins. And he was raised again on the third day so that we might be justified. The message of Christianity is that God entered into our world of pain and suffering. He partook from that, and he ultimately gave us a way to enjoy his eternal blessing and peace. If we put our faith in Jesus Christ, if we believe in the message of the gospel, we will be saved. Now, what does it mean to believe? When we say believe, we're not saying blind faith or taking an emotional decision or pretending like you know all the answers. Believing means that you are convinced enough to trust in the message of the gospel. It means you are ready to follow the truth to where it leads. It means you are ready to stake your life on the facts of the message. Now, you may feel, what if I'm wrong? What if I commit too early? And that's a normal feeling. That's something that all of us have experienced, especially when it comes to making the biggest decisions that we've ever made. But the other side of the coin is, what if it is true and you never seriously considered it? Now, if you are truly open-minded, if you truly want to know, can I encourage you to read the Bible, read the Gospels, especially Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Just read those books with an open mind, with no preconceived notions, and engage with the message that is written in those pages. and ask honest questions. Ask questions from people who are Christians, from people who are genuinely ready to explain to you the message of Christianity. Don't rely on hearsay or what people are saying on social media or your previous negative experience interacting with Christians. Ask these questions honestly and sincerely, and not casually, but with a genuine desire to know the truth, and you will find the truth. You don't need to have everything figured out. And that's the mistake many people make, is that they believe they will have all of the information and then they will make a decision. There's hardly anything in our lives where we had 100% of the information before we made a decision, but we had enough for us to be able to say, this seems credible, this seems like something I can put my faith in, and then we believed in it. But don't stay passive, don't stay undecided. You have to make a decision. I would like to pose to you, if God is real and wants to be known, would you be open to that?